Any questions from our previous session?
To be honest with you, I didn't get a chance to go over it again. So I had a very hectic weekend on this side here. But I'm planning to tomorrow off, so I will sit down and go over all of it, and tomorrow I might have some questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in continuation to what we were seeing last time, so we saw how we could use variables or how you could write set analysis basically. So using modifiers, set operations, everything. I think the next couple of, if you go to the help files, the next couple of things are a little more different versions of the same thing again. So there is modifiers using assignment and implicit set operators. Maybe if you have any requirement when you're working on a project, you could refer to any of these and build it. The most important or the next important is this modifier with implicit field value definitions. Okay, the P and the E statements is like very popularly known as P function and E function in Qlikview. So what this does is, its P is nothing but possible, right? E is nothing but excluded. Now, the possible values. Now, if you look at this sum of customer, right? If you look at if you look at this statement, it is just a normal statement, sum of sales, where customer is equal to. Now, this part is a little different over here than our regular, right? And than our regular expression, right? So it is included within the P. We have not put any values over here. Now, this P is returning what? P of, again, within the P, it has customer. For that customer, there is a set analysis saying that product of shoes on the whole set. One is nothing but the entire data set. Now, what this will do is, customer, right, over here for the first set analysis for sum of sales, the set analysis, customer is equal to, now this P function will give a list of customers. So it will give a list of possible values. So that is what it is meaning. So customer is equal to all the possible values. Now what are those possible values? Those possible values are customer numbers or customers who have bought the product shoe. So that is what this means basically.
Okay.
So in our scenario, if you have to, like, suppose, let's pick up a product ID. Okay, I'll just copy this sheet to be more clear. So this is current year. I'll delete. I think this is month 10 Jan, right? Total sales, sum of order quantity. Okay, this is our current year, right? Current year total order quantity, sum of max year order quantity, previous year order quantity. The case study that I'm going to discuss now is repeatedly, it's like a very, what do I say? Very, very oftenly a required case or business use case basically. So it is like this, okay? How many of the customers who bought in 2007, okay, irrespective of the product, how many, who are the, like suppose there are 100 customers who bought in 2007. I want to know of those 100, how many bought in 2008? See, my first thing is first will be bought in 2007. It's a clear-cut set analysis. I'll write simple, where year is equal to (2007). Okay. Now this time it's not sum of order ID. It will be count of customer ID. To make it more precise, if you want, now the customer IDs might be repeated, right? So if you go with the fact table, though it is it's a primary key, and there'll be a lot of customer IDs repeated because of the invoice IDs. So you can use the functions distinct over here. So whenever you want to count something distinct, right? So you can write distinct. So using distinct in sum doesn't make any sense. So you can use, while using count, you can write like this, distinct of customer ID. Now this is telling there are 9,864 customer IDs or customers who bought in 2007. Now, how many of the same customers bought it in 2008? So what I'll do is, I'll use this entire set analysis as is. I'm going to update over here. Update this, sum of customer ID. Over here, I'm not going to use year. Okay, here I am going to use, here I'm going to use as 2008. Another, I'm going to use another set analysis where I'm going to say P of this whole thing.
Okay.
Now, over here it won't be count of, it will just be P of year. Okay, the syntax is P of, I'm just going to say 1, whoever bought it in.
There's an extra curly brace, I think.
So,
You know.
year product, try to take this off. Okay, I think I can't use double time and distinct. Anyways, let's give it a shot. So it says of 9,000 customers, right? Only 3,000 are my repeat customers in 2008. If you look at it, only 2,000 actually bought again in 2008. So this is one of the use case, at least in a retail chain, that they will always ask you for. Okay, no, I had paused it. Was it, I mean, is it hanging or was it no sound at all? Because I was not talking.
It's lagging. It's like fading away, fading away and coming back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Is it okay now?
yeah, it's okay now. Yes.
Yeah. Actually, can you? I mean, yeah. If nobody's talking, if you're not talking, if you can mute everybody. Basically, what happens is this is a voice over IP. So the more disturbances around over calls, so the more data gets downloaded, and my voice gets distorted. So I've seen that when there are multiple people. Yeah. both the download and upload happen simultaneously, there is a distortion. But okay, so this is one of the biggest use case that people want to always find out in a retail chain at least, or any organization. Who are my repeat customers? Who are my customers who are possibly there in 2007, who again repeated in 2008, right? So this is how you can write a possible statement. It results in a list of values or just values basically for you to be able to pass it to another field selection, and then you'll be able to count them. No, exist. See, exist keyword is basically, yeah, it's good enough in the script, but in the UI I have not used it. So I'm not sure whether you can really use exist to do something like this. But yeah, predominantly I have been, or whenever there is a use case like this, I go with the p-value because this is more suitable and more easier if you look at it. So exist is like a little complicated, I think. You have to, but let me just clear because I have never tried exist or anything. Okay, exist doesn't even exist in the UI functions. So if you look at it, it's only the scripting function. So you can't use exist, you have to use this kind of function only. The same way is the exclude function. So if you look at the p function, right? P is possible values. Exclude is excluded values. So here in this first example, he is telling that, okay, now in our same example, right? So now what we did was we found out who are the customers who bought in 2007, right? These are 9,864 9,864 customers. These are the customers who find. Okay. Yeah, you know, I'm not talking actually. So I'm trying to figure out how to fix this to a use case. No, I wasn't talking in between, so I was a little paused. So basically, over here I'm trying to find out. In the first use case, they are telling, okay, the people who brought shoe. In the second, they are trying to find out who are the people who didn't buy the shoes, right? They are trying to find the sum of sales. So I'm trying to fix it in our use case. So how many bought in 2007? So customer ID and if I have to probably probably exclude this customer IDs, right? Is it still bad? You hear network is showing, I mean, all right, when I speak, it's almost going to the maximum volume. Okay. So this 11,844 is the total customers who bought in 2008. Okay. First we did was in 2007 there were 9,864 customers. Of that 3,017 customers bought in 2008. Now I want to know, apart from customers who bought in 2007, how many are the new customers or other customers who bought in 2008? So instead of the P, if I use E, right, it will list out all the customer IDs excluding year 2007. And based on that, so the overall customers that bought in 2008 are 8827. I mean, if I'm right, if you add this up, it comes up to 11,844 total. So it is like finding out who are my new customers and who are my existing customers from previous year, that is 3017, and who are my new customers, 8827. So the P and E function can be used very indifferently. I mean, now basically to understand what are your possible old customers or possible new customers. These are very powerful functions. So generally, if you have to write this kind of a query, it takes ages to build any analysis like this. With this all into variables, right, or selection parameters, so that the users can do a lot of other analysis. So they are not forced to see which shoes. They can look at various other things, right? If you give them as a selection option for the shoe, so they can replace it with multiple things and look at it. Any questions here? how options in set analysis. Now we'll look at how to create charts. Now there are different kinds of charts that are available. Now all these charts are available within a single object called the chart object. So if you go to the new sheet object option, you have this something called as chart. So you select this, it will give you option. Have multiple chart types and various kinds of like methods to create this chart. I hope it gets better. So I was telling this first window, so basically general tab. So it starts with the window title. So you can say sales analysis and you can pick the title. So the calculation condition is similar to what we saw in table box. So we'll come back to this again. So it's nothing different than the table box calculation condition. So if you give this, the chart will not be calculated or displayed unless there is any condition fulfilled. So based on what condition you give here, unless this condition is fulfilled, the chart will not render. Select this bar graph. We'll come back to fast change type, in chart, all these things at a later point. So I'll say select. Now charts are very, have the same basic concept. So you need dimension and you need a measure. A dimension is something that you want to represent values against, and measure is something that you want to like quantify the dimension. So for example, so if you want to say sum of sales, right? Sum of sales on what? You want sum of sales by customer ID, by year, by month. So that year, month, customer ID, all these are dimensions. So if you look at it under the dimensions tab, you have all the fields listed in the database. So whatever your fields are there in the data model, all the fields are there. Customer ID, territory ID, product ID, order date, everything is there, right? So you can pick up something. Suppose I pick up a territory ID, dimension territory ID. Select basically. I'll go with one dimension first. So I selected can enable or disable this dimension based on a condition. So like I said, Qlikview 11.2 is so powerful that every single thing can be conditionally enabled or conditionally disabled. So here you can conditionally enable a dimension. This helps you in different methods. So I'll show you where in some time. Suppress value when value is null. Now what if your data has 1 lakh records and there might be 10 or 15 records which might not be having territory ID. The reason being maybe bad data, or those 10 or 15 records are not required for an analysis. Maybe those are dummy records. Now if you just use the territory ID, all the categories will show up plus one blank category will show up for the territory ID where it will say, okay, these are without territory ID. It doesn't look good, right? So you can say suppress when value is null. Right. Show all values. Now what will happen is if you have 10 territory IDs, and in those 10 territory IDs, there might be one territory ID whose sum of sales will be 0. Right? Sum of sales quantity will be 0. Now that 0 option will be hidden. So what will happen is Qlikview will automatically hide those territories which have 0 value because it can't show a blank value, right? So blank bar. So it will hide them. Now if you use this show all values, it will also show those 0 values. So let's see. Then show legend is nothing but the name of the territory. Now once I have selected the dimension, I need the measure. I need to quantify it, right? So my measure is nothing but order quantity over here. So similar to what we did in the expression builder, you can choose an expression, choose a field, you can paste it. Right, so it brought in sum of order quantity. I'll say okay. I can go next and go to a lot of properties, but right now I'll just finish it here. So then let's see what comes up first. Right, if you look at it, this is what Qlikview did. It put up the territory ID. And it basically has given you the sum of order quantity against those territory IDs. Right. Now here if you look at it, there's no set analysis, there's nothing that we have put, we have just put sum of order quantity, that's all. Now this is how you create a bar chart. A bar chart is more simpler. So let's see, look at some couple of properties of this bar chart. So first thing was the dimension that we saw. Now show all values is that, suppress null value I explained. Show legend is nothing but this 1, 2, 3 that you're seeing, right, is the legend. So if I uncheck it, so it will not show me the legend. Legend is on the x-axis, so it's not showing me the values of those bars. So show legend is that. Label, territory ID is displayed over here, right? So it's displayed territory ID. So you can put up some good label. So you can just say territory. I'll come back to dimension limits later. There's this expression. Under expression you saw we added one expression, that was sum of order quantity. You can add multiple expressions. We'll come back to this, adding multiple expressions. Now on the right hand side is the conditional. So like I said, everything in Qlikview can be controlled conditionally. So conditionally hidden or conditionally visible. So here you can choose the condition when you want this sum of order quantity to be enabled or disabled basically. You can add a label. So here it is just showing if there is no label, it shows the expression. So you can say total order QTY. Right. So you can say total order QTY. It will show you the quantity. Definition is nothing but where you write the expression. So if you want to change the sum of order quantity expression, you'll have to change it in the definition. So you'll have to click here. This will take you to the expression editor. You can change the expression. So that's where you write. Then comments is just for the developer to understand what this is. So you can leave some comments for the developers for the future maintenance or anything while developing. Right. Relative, invisible. I'll come back to these. then bars. So this same chart object is used for all the chart types, right? That's what I told you. So there is no different chart types. Yeah, comments will never be seen to anyone except for the developer who opens this pop-up, right? So whoever opens this pop-up can see the comments. Apart from that, nobody else will be seeing the comments. That's why I said it's just a developer thing. Is used for all the chart types. So some of the options will be grayed out because it might not be valid for this chart type. When I say that, over here the bar is active, so the bar is checked. The symbol, line, stock, box plot, all are grayed out because these are not valid for this chart type. That's why they are grayed out. The total mode, no totals, is also grayed out because this is not valid for this chart type. What is valid is has error bars, value on data points, text on axis, text as pop-up. So has error bars if you are doing any statistical calculations, and if they have any error bars, it will show. If you want the bars to have the values on top of them, so this is how you can get it. So if you look at it, it shows the values, right? Then text on axis. If you want, instead of the values on the data points, you can put the same values on the axis. So if you look at it, the axis is here, right? So you can put the same value on the axis. If you want text as pop-up, so if somebody, I'll come back to this accumulation later, okay? Now if below there's something called as trend lines. So these are pre-defined or normal trend lines that you can build, like average. So if when you use average, it does a simple average, total value divided by total count, right? It's a simple average line. You can have a linear average line, so it will give you how the average is moving linearly. Then you can have a polynomial also of some 2 degrees. You can have second, third, fourth, fifth, exponential you can have, right? How whatever you want. So these are a couple of things that are there. I mean pre-built, these trend lines, so you can use them. Then sort is similar to what we saw. So you can pick the values, define the sort state. Now suppose you want, so there's only one new sort type over here. So in whatever we have seen previously, there's only one. This is called as Y value sort. Now state, expression, frequency, all are what we have seen earlier. The Y value is nothing but it will sort the values based on the total order quantity on the measure. So it is sorting on the measure. Right, so the highest, the first. Suppose you want to sort your charts like this, you'll have to always use the Y value sort. So this way, your highest earning or highest order quantity territory will be first. Under style, there are various things. You can orient it horizontally, vertically. You can have a little 3D chart. 3D charts, I mean, best practice is avoid 3D charts because they are a little challenging to read. But you can use these kind of charts, a little glossy ones, it's okay. But 3D, this kind of charts is a big no in analytics. Yeah, so having a 3D chart. They look really good, but while reading they are not really that great. So people, I mean, good designers avoid it. Give me a second. You can have a shadow, you can have a frame. So this is for the bars. So this is more like to do with styling. So you can use any of these things and do it. So again, group and stacked are not valid here. That's why they're kind of grayed out. Next tab is the presentation. A presentation tab is more to do with how you want to represent the bars and all. So the bar setting and the cluster distance. So bar distance, the distance between these two bars will actually matter. Okay, this is now you're seeing 4, 6, 1, 10, 7, right? These are not bars now. Though they are showing bars, basically the distance between them will be the cluster distance, because the first dimension is known as a cluster. Dimension will be known as bars. So I'll come back to this bar and cluster. But if you want to change the distance now here, so if you increase this to 8 or 9, it will move. So that the bars became a little more farther. Allow thin bars. If you don't allow this, what will happen is, because of, this minimum size of these bars is a little thicker, it will not show all the bars. When you use allow thin bars, right? So when your dimension has multiple values to display, it will show all in thin bars. If you want thin bars, show all bars is something that 0 bars I told, right? So it will get hidden. So over here you'll have to enable multiple options to show all those bars. And line and symbol, like I said, are disabled because these are not valid for this chart type. So legend is disabled because at this point of time there's only one legend, which is that normal x-axis legend. It is displayed, but this will get activated. I'll show you how. Okay, I think these things I'll just come back. Now let me just show you axis thing. Under axis, so you have the expression, one expression. Now axes are defined for expression, not for dimensions. So when I say the y-axis is nothing but the expression axis on top. The dimension axis is the second one on the bottom. So the second half is the dimension axis. But dimension axis comes from the database or database field, right? So you can't really much vary the values or the way the scale is. That's why the scale is grayed out. But there are charts where both dimension and expression axis can be controlled. Now those charts will have this enabled. We'll come to that. Now expression axis, you are seeing this 0 to 60,000, right? Maybe you don't want this 0 to 60,000, you want it more differently. So you can use 40 is nothing but it is starting from 0. If I don't use this 40, Qlikview will automatically take off the common value between all the values, all the bars. Right? So it is actually starting from 10,000. This means that all the bars have a minimum value of more than 10,000. So click logarithmic method. 0, 20,000, 40,000, 60,000. It's going in a log scale method. I can hide the axis. If I show grid is like the lines. Now if I want to compare them, so show grid is the grid lines you can see, right? So if I don't check this, it will go. If I check this show grid line, it will be there. I can show minor grid. It will. Now you're not able to see the axis, right? Because the width of the axis is 0 over here. So if you increase the width, you can see the axis. If you want to be it more obvious, you can change the color to black. Size to 2. Okay. Is it okay now? Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think it's not keeping up to the speed. I'm not sure why it's fluctuating, but yeah, the weather over here is also quite fluctuating. Maybe one of those reasons. So what I was telling was this color of axis. So tell me if it is really going bad again. I hope it is now. Okay. So you can control the scale over here. So like I said, forced 0, right? When you did force 0, it is showing 10,000. It is starting from 10,000. If you want it to start from a particular point, so maybe you say you think that it should start from 5,000. So whenever you check this, right, static minimum, static max, static step, so it will take the values from here. If you don't check it, it will go auto scaling. Whenever you check it, it will take the values that you define over here. So you can say 5,000 to 70,000 in a step of 15,000, right? So what will happen is it is starting from 5,000, but it is taking a step of 15,000 for everything. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, right? So it is going that way. So you can control the scale. So how the scale has to behave or what scale that you would want to display. I'll come back to the position and split axis in some time. Then you have continuous. You can apply the continuous. So basically what happens is continuous is like the values is continuous. But this doesn't really work out when you have a field value, right? The sorting gets distorted. The only important part is this grid value. So you can have the grids, vertical grid, so that it will give you like a proper square grid, square box grid. Truncate label, when you have a very long label, right? Over here we just have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if you have like big, huge sentence as your label, you can't show it across the chart, right? So you can truncate it. So it will just show you half of it. Same here, axis color, increase the width, you will be able to see the axis color. The grids that you're seeing, you can change the grid style over here, thin line, thick line, however you want to. So you can change the color too. So if you want it little orange to make it look little. Oh yeah, you can. So this primary dimension labels, secondary dimension labels. So up to 2 levels you can do it. So primary, this is our primary dimension label. So you can have it diagonal. So it becomes diagonal, or you can make it vertical. It becomes vertical. Right. So this setting is what you can choose for horizontal or vertical. If you have a secondary dimension, you can do that. I'll tell you what is a secondary dimension. Then comes the next tab is the colors tab. Now under colors, what happens is these bars are getting colored. Now you see all the bars are same color, right? So there is no color differentiation. What happens is in Qlikview there are 2 methods of different colors. Now one is you use 2 different dimensions. Okay. So what will happen is it will show 2 bars next to each other, or it will show within that dimension, it will show multiple bars. So within that you can have color differentiation. Second, when you have 2 expressions, so again 2 bars will come for one individual dimension, you will have different colors. But when there is one dimension and the same dimension will, basically for one dimension, one expression, it will just take one color. So colors are basically taken by Qlikview automatically. You can define up to maximum 18 different colors in Qlikview. So if you see here, it's like 1 to 18 colors that you have. These are the only colors that you can define over here. After the 18th color, right, either it's gonna repeat the same last color that you have, or it will restart from the first color. So in my case, there are only 10 bars. In this, only one dimension is there. If I still want it to be a multicolored chart, so here on top there is something called as multicolored. If I select this, it will take multicolors, right? Now the colors are in the same sequence as it is appearing over here, right? It's blue, red, green, yellow, dark green, right? Same thing. Now if I have more than 18 bars, right? If I have like 30, 40 bars, so it will complete this first 18 colors, again start from the first color. So it will continue to the same color. Now if I say repeat last color, it will keep this purple color for the rest of the whatever bars till the 30 bars. Right? First 18 will get different colors, the rest of the bars will get the same color. I can have a separate total and others. So in case you have any segments where you have put up the total or others, in a bar chart it is not really relevant, but it's still active. This persistent color, right? This persistent color is nothing but, suppose now the right. Now suppose I select 10, 10, 7, 10, 7, 2. So 10 became blue, 7 became red, green, yellow. Actually the colors are not tagged to the territory IDs. They're not tagged to the values. They're tagged to the position of the bar. So if this bar is the first bar, it will take blue color. If the bar is the second bar, it will take red color. It is going by the position of the bar. Now it is confusing, right? Because 4 is showing blue, okay, 10 is showing yellow. If a user selects 10, it becomes blue. Now he'll be like, oh, did I select 4 or did I select 10? So in that scenario, what you can do is, there's something called as persistent colors over here, right? You can choose this and it will have a persistent color. So if you select 7, 7 will still be purple. Right? If you select 5, it will still be 5, green, 6, 6. Now this also remains valid for other charts. What happens is, generally if you don't use this persistent color, in one chart 6 will be one color, 10 will be one color, another chart it will be other color. But in a persistent color state, both the charts will be same color. So it will be like a global definition in the application, persistent colors. You can interchange these colors, so there is no rigidity of the standard color, so you can choose the colors. So like I had explained, if you want to change the color, click on the color once. I'll give you the option. Right. Now you realize that you don't want, you want all the default colors. Get default colors. It will bring back all the color. Default of trying to set up the colors. So along with this, there's the background. Now background is 2-3 things. One is color. So you can choose a color and you can choose the plot area color. Image, if you have an image, you can okay, 5 colors to be repeating, right? Then you'll have to choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and from the 5th color onwards, just copy this. You can copy colors, so copy color, paste all. So you'll have to do this manually for the 18 ones. After that, you will continue the same thing. There's no other method to restrict 5 colors. There's only one method. So after 5 colors, copy the same colors again back. So image is, if you have a specific image, you can pick and you can update it over here. Right, the image will be visible on the backend. So the plot area image that you see, right, adventure walk. So you can do it that way, right? Or no, there is no blank option. The problem is if you if you put up the blank, then it will show the blank color on it. There is no blank option. You can use a live, it will pull that live web image. internet because it's already bad. So if you have a URL for the image, right? So you can update the URL over here. In case the image changes on that particular URL, the image will change over here also. So based on the URL, it will pull up that image, whatever. Transparency is like either you can choose color in image dynamic, or you can make it 100% transparent so that it will just take the sheet property. Right? The moment you make it transparent, it will take a light gray, so the chart is also become light gray. So if you look at the bottom chart, it is still white because it is not transparent. The first one is transparent. Font, layout, and caption are exactly the same thing that we saw. No, we will not be able to have images on bars. Graphics. Yeah. You can log into community and put that up as a idea for those guys. A good idea. So that kind of bars fall into infographics kind of category, which I think they're trying to evolve into. So let's see when they come up. Now coming back to the chart. Now this is what we saw for one dimension, one expression. Query ID, property was ship method ID. So what, like I said, so one dimension, it will show only one bar. The moment I use more than one dimension, it for every time, like what will happen is our main dimension is territory ID. So territory 4, 6, 7. Our secondary dimension is ship method ID. So what it is doing is for territory ID, it is displaying bars for all the ship method IDs. Right now, ship method ID is 1.5. So it is displayed 1.5. 2 bars for everything. Now, if I change this ship method ID to special offer ID, so it will show whatever special offer IDs are there, those many bars. And it's kind of not visible only, but okay. The only reason I think is the scales that we have chosen are not right. So if you see this, territory 4 has so many bars, special offer ID. Territory 6 has so many special offer ID. So it's basically creating those bars based on that. Now the 4 becomes the cluster and the bars special offer ID 1, 2, 3, 4 are the bars. That is what I was referring to when there was a distance between cluster and distance between bar, right? So you go to the presentation tab, you have bar distance. Bar distance is the distance between those bars, and cluster is nothing but this 4, 6. So first dimension is always cluster. The secondary dimension onwards, it becomes the bars. So allow thin bars is enable this thin bar to be visible. If I don't check this, it will show thick bars and it will not show a right value kind of a thing. So that's how you put up 2 dimensions. Now, when you don't want 2 dimensions, right, you can do that. So what you can do is, so let's see that. So I will go ahead and pull the ship method ID. Right. So in the style, you have grouped, you have stacked. So grouped shows 2 bars. You say stack, it will stack it up. Right. It will stack this way. All right. So this group and stack was grayed out, right? When it was single dimension, it was grayed out. When it's a dual dimension, 2 dimensions, it is updated over here. Now when this is done, now this is 2 dimension. You can add multiple dimensions, but it doesn't make any sense, right? So if you add like 4 or 5 dimensions, how's the chart gonna look? It's gonna look really bad because it's gonna show you within dimension within a dimension. It's just gonna show you multiple steps. The expression. Now, what if I add another expression? Right now over here, I have just put that back as a 1 dimension. Now I have the expression. I'll add another expression with the same formula, sum of. Okay, either you can say add and write the expression, delete will delete, or you can directly right click on an expression, copy it, paste it, right? If you want the same expression. So I'll say 2. Okay, I will eliminate that. I will take the group method so that it demonstrates better. Now I'm seeing special offer ID everywhere. This is not what I wanted. I wanted territory ID. So I have territory ID, I have this. Now I can't show values on the data point because of the obvious, there are 2 bars, it is overlapping. This will show 2 expressions will show like this. 3rd expression will show. Now you will have to be a little creative over here and write how you want to do it. So here, this is what our set analysis comes into play. This is how our set analysis will come into play, right? So you can compare 2 bars. So you can say year 2007, right? So one expression will be for year 2007. Second expression will be for 2008. So this way you can apply set analysis within charts, right? That's why I completed. So the first bar is showing for 2008. So you can write the labels over here, 2008. Second one is showing for 2000, sorry. The first one is showing for 7 and second is for 8. Like this. Right. So you can have 2 expressions with different set analysis and still showing the same thing. Show is that we saw, right? You can up. Hello? Can you hear me now? Yeah. What I would do is I'll leave you. I think it's fluctuating over here because it's been raining kind of a little crazy. Surprise rains in summer actually. What I would suggest is go ahead and practice this now with this bar chart and the set analysis with the P function and excluded function. Can we give count or some percentage or details of each stack bus? In the sense, I didn't understand what count or some?
I used to do in Spotfire. Initially I have asked like, can we stack together, and that stack bar used to have like suppose the 4 has 4 will consider as 100%, and in that the pink one is still like covers what percentage, and then total order quantity is how much, and then other dimension percentages how much. getting? Like suppose we have two-dimensional things, okay, and we have stacked bars. In that 5 or 6 colors are there. Each color, like for 4, what is the percentage of red, what is the percentage of yellow, what is the percentage of blue in entire that 4.
Okay,
Labeling, you can tell in labeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, this okay. Percentage or count, whatever it like based on the dimensions.
Yeah, it's showing the complete value. Yeah, individually it is not.
Yeah, it is completely right. That what I mean to say is like
But if
what
you, yeah.
for like
What's it?
in Spotify, how I used to we used to work out, no, like for 4, the entire this one bar used to be considered as 100%, and what's the percentage of blue, and what is the percentage of red, green, yellow, like that we used to display.
Okay, here I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm sure there is a method to do it. Let me just see this.
Okay.
So, yeah, immediately.
In that case, we can like within that bar we can have the idea for like for this particular region what is how much percentile is that one.
Can have like this, but it is, yeah, it is displaying as it's relative to the entire total, in fact.
It's relative to the entire total. Okay.
Right. So it
No,
is the
for
17%.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 17%
You
of special offer
notice.
ID 1 is. It's so the whole bar is for 18%. Of the 18%, 17 is 4.7.
You mean to say like for territory ID 4, special offer ID is 18%. So it is distributing and showing like how this one.
Right. Right.
Special offer ID 1 and special offer ID 2 are majorly. Okay. No, what I wanted to tell is like if territory ID is 100%, we used to display that way, like territory ID 4 as 100%, and in that like what's the special ID offer 1 percentage and what is 2% like that.
Yeah, I realize. Yeah, I got that. I think I don't remember it doing it right out of the box anytime. So I
It's
think,
okay. Like I'll also search.
Yeah. Yeah. There should be a different methodology to do it. So let me see this. All right. So I think you can continue with this practice. So maybe I'll come back with tomorrow. We'll discuss more in details.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alpana.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Yeah, same to you. Bye-bye. मेरी darling बाहर आएंगी